There you go. So again, another little big brothery thing here, but at least you know that I'm recording us. Also, if you look at your screen in the top left-hand corner, please note that there's a little red flashing dot and tiny, tiny words that says recording, right? So that's a way for you to know that you're being recorded while you're in a Zoom meeting or conference. Hey there, Carol. I don't know if she can hear me.
Hi. Hey, Monica. I'll be in the chat room.
All right, that's excellent. So if you have any questions, Carol's an expert. You just put them in the chat. Yes, and then this way.
How do you enable video?
And so if you scroll or hover your mouse at the bottom of your screen, it's almost always at the bottom. There should be two icons. Leftmost is your mute or your voice. I can hear you. The next one is going to be an old-timey camera. It looks like a camera icon, and it says stop video, or so it's a toggle. You toggle that on and off. Like for me right now, I just stopped video. Now I enabled my video. It's a one-click thing. Have you been able to find? Oh, there you are. That's great. That's wonderful. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. You can mute yourself if you want. There aren't too many people in, so we should be fine as long as we don't have dogs barking in the back, or, you know, just little things that sometimes start to make noise. I think I was once in a Zoom meeting and I was having chips, eating chips. So you could hear the chips throughout the conference. So just little things like that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And so that, I pardon the mess here. It's been kind of wild. But there are a couple of things I'd like to show. First of all, that we have the remote instruction course. And this was a course, Shell, developed by Alex Hosmer. And within that, and you can get this through Commons. We'll talk about Commons in a bit. In case you don't have anything in your Canvas course and you'd like to start with templates that can help easily guide your student to start here to the Q&A forum, which is nice for discussions, and then to simple Canvas guides. Within these templates, you'll be able to go ahead and edit and put in your own names, kind of a little bit of a plug and play. And then students will be able to go through like a getting started an overview module. And Alex also has created these fabulous templates with sample overview pages, content pages, discussions, assignments, and then like an end of week or end of module summary. I mention these because what we don't have here are going to be the quizzes. So if you would like a Canvas quiz template, there's a way that you can get that. And you would go to Commons, which is on the left-hand global navigation menu. I'm pointing at it right now with my little cursor. It's the second icon from the bottom up, and it says Commons. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So when you click on Commons, I get a notification here. I don't use it a lot, but I guess enough that Commons wants to let me know that there's an update to the course template as of what date, right? And then also to the modules. So now that I remember those new modifications, I can go ahead and close this out. Now, because I might want to take a look at it later, I'm just going to click outside of that. I'm going to go to where this box on the top right-hand side that says search by title, name, institution, or tag. Now, Alex sent me an email where he told me that he put it under CCSF quiz. And so as we typed that up, he also gave me a heads up that there were a couple of different ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the one that he suggests is the best one to use. And that's going to be this one right here on the bottom row on the left-hand corner right there. And it says module X.1 : quiz templates. So we're going to go ahead and click on that one. And then the way Commons works now is that it gives you an idea of what's in that quiz templates. And he set up to how to choose and duplicate a quiz template, a sample classic quiz template, and a sample new quiz. My big recommendation right now is if you've never used Canvas quizzes, to stick with the classic. I think that it's a little bit more simple. And also you can reach out to fellow faculty who have used quizzes in Canvas before, and they'll be able to help you. Not all of us have kind of migrated to using the new quiz. And so that's also a way to get more help from other colleagues, but also maybe better help if you do a search, if you do sort of an @ONE quizzes or how do I quizzes on YouTube, you'll be able to get a little bit more help. So right here, I'm going to go ahead to the right-hand side, and I'm going to click on this import download button. So I'm going to click on that there. And don't be scared by this. But I'm going to go ahead and select the course that I'm tied to. Let's see if that, let me see. I want to say that I should pick out what it is. I think it's going to be continuation. No? Okay, instructional and continuity. Now that's not the one. I want the one that's remote. Remote. Let me see. Make sure that, so this course right here, because you could normally just scroll down the list and pick the course where you want this to embed or download to. But because I have so many, I thought I would spare you the long scroll and then just go ahead and type in this little search remote and then click on the course itself. And then I'm going to import into this course. If that doesn't, Commons is really great. Sometimes it's a little clunky. So if it doesn't work, then I'll come back again and I'll try to export and import. So once that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and go to my dashboard. And again, don't be frightened when you see all that's in there. And I'm going to click on this remote instruction course. Right now, my only thing right now with doing it there is that this course, well, that's where I sent it to. Is that this is the template. So I want to make sure that not everybody gets affected by this. I don't think so. I think I'm going to do a quick check to make sure. Yes, it looks like it's just the people who are part of education technology. All right. So then now let me go into modules. And that's in the course navigation menu, which is this little one right here with the white background and the links. Now, if ever you don't see this, it may mean that we've accidentally clicked on these little 3 lines, the horizontal lines, and that hides that navigation menu. So please don't ever panic if you're like, where is it? What are they talking about? It just means that we've hidden it. So you can toggle that on and off, click it, and now you can see the course navigation menu. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So now within this, again, this is that remote course with the templates. I'm going to close that right there just to keep all of this from being too clunky here. All right, so you can see that as I imported that into this specific course, that all the way down at the bottom of your modules index or your module screen, you can see that that modules X1 quiz templates came over. So if you have a course that already has a lot of information in it, just always check at the bottom. That's almost always where anything new that gets added to Canvas, to your course, or imported from Canvas Commons will go to the bottom. So here it is here. A couple of things to make note of. This has come through unpublished. That means that if we had students here, they wouldn't be able to see it. And it's nice to keep it unpublished until you've finished your quiz and you're ready for your students then to see it. Only because we have our top grade A students who will immediately notice that we added something to the course. And then they'll immediately come into that new thing while we're trying to edit it, right? And so they'll say, hey, what's this? Or, they'll start to ask questions because they're just ultra smart and they know there's something there they have to do. And so they'll begin to ask questions about it. So if you keep it unpublished, then that way when you're ready for students to begin to see it, then you can go ahead and publish it. And now those who are always alert will know that it's there for them. So within the Classic, there's how to choose and duplicate a quiz template, and really lovely language that Alex has placed here for us. There's steps to copy. And the reason to do this would be that it simplifies your having to create a quiz from scratch. And right now we're in a situation where as much as we can use other material there without having to retype or create from scratch. It really, really helps. The other is the steps to export a quiz, a classic quiz into New Quizzes format, if that's what you want to do. Again, right now I'm recommending we just stick with the classic. And then using quizzes for anonymous surveys or with Proctorio. So Susan, I think you asked if, you know, how do we make sure they don't cheat?
Yes. Yes.
So that's one of the ways to do it, is to enable Proctorio, so that then you can, and there are different parameters based on what you want to do. Not all students have the same sort of bandwidth, and some of them might have a little bit issue with that. So you might just have to let students know that you're there to help them, right? That they should send a message through the inbox letting you know that they're trying to do a quiz and they can't. So it's a lot more troubleshooting, I think. The
So
more,
may I ask you, so if unless you select Proctorio, it's not being proctored. They would just go on at any time and take that quiz.
based on your parameters, on the
Yes.
parameters you set. And
Okay.
so why don't we go ahead and do that? So let me see here, steps. Well, this is the first time that I check out his steps on how to do this. But what I can do is I can go in and do these basic things from another course. So let's say I'm going to jump out of this right now into a course. Now it can be a live course. This is a live course that I teach. There are beautiful students within it. I'm going to click on that course. I'm going to go to one of my quizzes, preferably one that has kind of the language that I like to use. Let's say I'm going to do this sort of interview quiz, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm in that interview quiz. Let me see if this is going to work well. I'm going to go into the edit, and I'm going to hit this little HTML editor right here. I don't know if you see that link. So
Yes.
what that allows me to do is to copy over the content of my instructions. These are like the detailed instructions for my student. So I'm going to copy that over. All right. And then here I can show you, as we're here, the parameters for this quiz. It is a graded quiz. It is located within the participation section of the way I've grouped or chunked out my course. The answers are not shuffled. This sort of quiz, it doesn't matter. But if you had a quiz where you really wanted to make sure that everyone's not texting to each other, question 1 is answer A, or something like that, then I do recommend shuffling the answers. Here you can place a time limit. This is a very easy quiz. It's an introduction kind of survey. They have all of these answers in their head. They don't have to look it up, right? So that this would be a time limit of 30. I allow multiple attempts. You don't have to. If you don't want to allow multiple attempts, you would just toggle that off. Here I do. I allow 3 attempts just because sometimes some students trip up a little bit or they get interrupted. You know, so if somebody interrupts them and then they leave the quiz, it doesn't know that it left it. The clock is still running. And so then they've eaten up their attempt. If you only give them 1 attempt, then that's it, they're done. Then they have to go through you so that you can manage the quiz and reopen it for them, which might work fine. Maybe you do want to know if you had students who were interrupted and weren't able to complete their 1 attempt. And then you can do that, and I'll try to see if I can walk you through that as well. The last bit here is let students see the quiz responses. So I do, if say this were a multiple choice and they got the answers wrong, it would mark and let them know that they were wrong, but I don't let them see the right answer until the end, their last attempt. And so that's where I would click on let students see the correct answer only after their last attempt. Why? Because if we let them see the right answer after their first attempt, what do you think would happen? Right?
They'll know
Yes.
the right answer.
Yeah, they would print it out or whatever, or they would have it right there, and then that's it, right? They would just jot them down quick. Our students are so very smart, and they find, and innovative, they find all sorts of ways. Now, here are other places where you can have a little bit more control. You could require an access code if you want. So you would click on this, it would give, you can put in the password if you want, and then you can give it to them. or you could filter by IP address. I have never ever done this. I just haven't had the need to do it, but that is something that you could do as well. And if it's something that you want to explore, then, you know, outside of this webinar, we can try to touch base and we'll explore how to do that. The last bit over here is going to be your assign box. So in this assign box, you will tell them available. That means when the quiz opens for students. So for example, say that you have that really eager student, but you're still not quite ready for this quiz to go live. Then you could put this availability for tomorrow early morning, 6 o'clock a.m. That way you know that it gives you the rest of the day to tailor it. I keep mine open because it's one of the first quizzes. I think of it as my practice quiz. This way I know that I can reach out to the students who didn't do this and ask them, you know, if they had issue. Was it a computer thing? Was it a browser thing? So it kind of sieves off right away students who may have issues taking quizzes. The due date, you can see here, it was for the first day of school. The until date is the date that then this quiz closes. So if you want your quiz to be an hour and a half, to be open specifically today between noon and 1:30, then you would change these parameters right here. And you would tell it, you would go to March, when are we? March 16th, noon would be the start date. You would click done. The until date then would be the same time as the due date, because you want it to be due and close, right? For me, because this is an introductory quiz survey, and because I know that students are still kind of not quite with it the first day of class, that I don't make it due the first day of class. I give them until the Saturday of the first week of class to do it. Now, it does tag it as late, and the late tag that Canvas gives it is a big old red late in all caps. And pedagogically, that might not be very user-friendly, but it does indicate that their work was late. I don't take points off. You can if you want for late work. But what I do is for all of my assignments, there's a 24-hour late grace period where something happened in their lives. That's fine. They don't have to email me about it. All they need to know is that even if they miss that due date, they still have 24 hours to complete the assignment, and I won't take points off. And so that saved me a lot of back and forth with emails. Now, the other thing here is that you have this add button.
Monica,
Yes, yes.
before you leave that,
Yes, let me come back.
what's the difference between the due date and available from?
So the available from, let me cancel here and let me go to something that's a little bit more current, okay? So let's see, perhaps, let's take the Lourdes Puente, which I think just happened recently. So if we go into this date, for example, and here's the quick view of that, right? And this is an excellent example, Darlene. I'm glad you asked me. So for example here, if I go into edit and I scroll down to see the details of that, I will notice that in my boxes, this assignment was due on March 4th. I don't have an available date because it became available the moment the module was unlocked. So I have my modules unlock on certain days. All of my modules unlock on the Wednesday before the Monday we start looking at that week. And that's just in case, you know, students have a lot going on, and I want to make sure that if they're able to work on a quiz, do the reading, work on the quiz during the weekend, that they can go ahead and do that ahead of time, right? So then when they come around to that time, it is already available. So no one has to send me a message saying, hey, Monica, my mom's in the hospital. Can you unlock the quiz? It's already unlocked for them. They sometimes forget, and they might send me a message anyway. And then I can be magnanimous and say, oh, I'm so sorry, your mom's not well. Go ahead. The quiz is open for you. You see how nice I came off there? I didn't really do anything. So that's a way to then just be able to have it available. Now, because I set up modules to open and unlock at certain times, that's why it's there. But say that I didn't do that. I could go ahead and say, let's see, this was due on the 4th. I really don't want them to work on it before then. I could open technically open it on the 4th at the beginning of time. It could be at 6, let's say 6 a.m. that same day, right? So it's going to open the day that it's going to be due. It's going to be due at 10 p.m. So they actually had a whole day to work on it. And then it's going to be closed. This one, I gave them 2 days. So I gave them between Wednesday and Friday to submit late. But that's not something really I announce. I give that also for me as a buffer. So let's say it's March 1st and we're nearing the end of the 24-hour late grace period I give them. Then I go in to message students who in grades, and I let them know. I'm like, you know what? I noticed you missed the late grace period. I still have the quiz open for you. Can you please jump in and participate? The reading is 2 pages long, and this is a 10 question multiple choice question. Please give it whatever you've got. So again, it gives me a way to have buffer to communicate with my students. Was that you, Chris? I couldn't really, what was your question? I couldn't really hear that. Do you mind typing it in chat? Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes see, and this is good practice for us. Maybe it's just my system. Could other people hear the question?
No.
No.
No, I could not.
All right. So I'm, yes, it's choppy. It's coming in and out. So if you look right now, I think Christy was trying to ask a question, and yeah, so it's not really coming through. I'm going to mute you right now just because it's right. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to please go into chat and type up your questions. I think Carol's helping us out with that. And what I'll do is I'll finish this and then I'll jump into chat myself and see if I can answer any questions or make note of it somewhere so that we can address that before we leave each other today. All right, the other thing within these boxes is that you notice in the first example that I showed that it was only this top box, assigned to, and it had the whole class, right? But Sierra right here had one of those issues, I think a child in hospital issue, not serious, but it was enough that it took her away from her routine. So what I did was that I came in, I added her by clicking on this add button at the bottom. So I could add somebody else, but right now I don't know who else might have missed this quiz so that I could add them. But let's say that Sandra missed this quiz. Then what I could do is I could go ahead and plug in the due date. So that due date, I put in always the original due date. That's when it was due. And it helps as a reminder to students that things were reopened specifically for them, right? And when the due date was. So that's the original due date. And then I come in here and I'm going to put the close date. The close date will be today at 10 p.m. And again, this is a live student, right? So that I'm going to go ahead and put, it closes today at 10 p.m. I'm going to click on this little notify users this quiz has been changed. This way, Sandra will get a message telling her Monica has reopened quiz on Lourdes Puente. And then now, if she didn't do it, or else I wouldn't be able to assign it to her again. Then she has now until 10 p.m. today to jump in and to try to do it. Later on, after we're done together, I'm going to go to Sandra and I'm going to send her a message, letting her know personally again, not just through Canvas, that I reopened this particular assignment so that she can go ahead and participate. And again, let me make sure yes, Lourdes Puente. Let me make sure I got the right one. Lourdes Puente for Sandra. Okay. That's just a mental note to me to not mess with my students. So again, here you can see the different ways that this is also graded, shuffled answers. The time limit is 2 hours. It really is generous, but with my quizzes, they're more about learning than they are about a gotcha, right? So for this, and these are low stakes quizzes. I'm just trying to check to see who's still doing the reading. And my students here are not going to operate on anybody. They're not going to give anybody CPR. I hope that they're never confronted with that. So that it's not. So someone, I think on the phone, someone calling in?
Yeah, yeah, this is Pamela. The audio kept on cutting out, so I tried calling you. Is that okay?
Yes, we can hear you a little better. So what was your question?
Oh, I didn't have a question. Sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to scroll down here. Now I have Sierra, who got a little bit extra time there. She got extra 10 days. We've got the normal 2-day buffer. And then we've got here the new one I just created here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm going to pause here to see if there are any questions on this right here. No questions, that's fine. And then here, if I go into the quiz itself, I can see the different parameters that I've set. And now it shows me a third row with now that letting me know that I have 2 students who have had additional time when those due dates are coming up. And then where everyone else, that's going to be everyone else. Now, let's say that you have to be strict because this is a timed quiz. They really need to be in there at that time space for only the hour and a half, right? That's fine. But if you have a DSPS student, for example, right, then what you would do is you would go to the right-hand side here. I'm kind of circling on that there. And we have quiz statistics, moderate quiz, and then the speed grader. So you would click into moderate this quiz. And this is where if I needed to give Tatiana an extra bit of time, I would click on the right-hand side on the edit button. And there I would either give them more attempts if I felt they needed more attempts, or I could give them extra time. So a lot of the DSPS I get is time and a half, so that I would go ahead and do that. And I could do this right there. It tells me how much everybody else has, the 2 hours, and then I would give them that extra time right here. And then, or sometimes it's let students see the results one more time if I wanted to do that, or manually unlock the quiz for the next attempt. And then I would save that here, and now Tatiana would have that extra time that she should get. Now, it doesn't have to be just DSPS. You could go and manage that for whatever reason. You know, if you're the boss, you know your students and you know what they need. And so that's a place that you could do that. Say that I couldn't remember Sandra's name. I could type in SOND and then try to see if it would filter it out for me. Let me see. And it did. So I just have to keep in mind more or less who it was. And then I could say, oh yeah, that's Sandra. And then I could just go ahead. And then now I just have one person I need to go in and then give another attempt, right? So that's what I could do there. Cancel. All right, let's see. So back to quizzes. I'm going to show you the other panel of this. So if we, let me show you before I leave here, the speed grader. It's also right here on the right-hand side. It's the last kind of item to tick on. And if you click on speed grader, it opens up all of the students' quizzes. The reason I'm going into this before showing what I was going to do just now is that my big, huge recommendation for quizzes is to keep them as simple as possible in terms of the format. So Canvas does really great with multiple choice, true, false. And if you set your quizzes that way, Canvas will take care of grading it all by itself. And all you need to do is see the score. And the score will appear here. It will also appear over here in the grade book. I'm clicking on the left-hand side. There's a little icon that looks like a notebook, like the old-timey grade books. And I would click there, and then it would take me to the listing of all of those grades. So I would have them here and I would just scroll to whatever that quiz was. Let's say, I don't know, I'm gonna pick some other quiz. Plans for your future. All right. Well, it's a lot of work for me to grade. So right here, the Arab World Map quiz, I can immediately see all of their scores right there. And I can immediately see also who missed out on this quiz. So that's a quick way for me to make note of that. And then I can go ahead and click on this, message students who, and then these 4 students weren't able to take the Arab World Map quiz. I might go ahead and say something like, your scholars, you have a bit of time to work on this map quiz. I have reopened it for you. Please complete by the end of today. Today's what, Monday, March 16th at 10 p.m. So that's a way for me to tell them that. Here, I don't like this whole no submission for. I will just probably just say something like reopened, opened for you. Something like that, so that it tells them what. I'm gonna really quickly make note of who it was: Amelia, Jocelyn, Ruben, and Derek. So I'm going to send them the message. I'm going to go right to the top right now that I remember, because I told them I was reopening it, right? So I'm going to go back to the Arab quiz. I'm going to edit. I'm going to scroll down to where I have those boxes of assign to. I'm going to add. So that's that button, that add button at the bottom. I'm going to type in those names. So that was Amelia. That was Jocelyn. It was, did it select? There we go. It was Ruben and Derek. So same thing. I always give the original due date because that's when it was due, right? So I put that in. I put when it was due exactly. I just pretty much copy it from what I have ahead. Then I give them the new due date. I mean, the close date. So this close date is still on the 16th at 10 p.m. I'm going to close that. Now, because I'm still not at my inbox, I'm going to click this notify users this quiz has changed. And I find that at the bottom left-hand corner. So I'm going to click on that so they get a notification. And I'm going to jump to my save button. All right. So my working with you on this webinar is actually helping my students be able to redo some of their quizzes. All right. So the other thing I was going to show you is that you can click on edit. It's what I mentioned with keeping things very simple. Click on questions. So this is the details, instructions, right? The questions. And then now I want to see the question details. When you keep these multiple choice or true, false, then that means that Canvas does the grading for you. But not all our courses are that way. So if you have a quiz where you really want short answer or essay, this is my big, huge recommendation, that you create 2 quizzes. One that's quiz on whatever it is, part 1, that's all multiple choice, true, false. And the other one that's quiz part 2 with short answer and essay. The reason for that being that the short answer and essay, you will have to manually go in to SpeedGrader and grade and give them their points, because Canvas cannot handle essay, grading essays in a quiz. And the short answer, you know, I might say cat, or someone else might say kitty as an answer. Canvas will freak out. We'll probably just mark them as wrong if it's not exactly the way you spelled it and capitalized it and everything. So that's the big, huge takeaway with Canvas quizzes. If you can't make them just multiple choice, true, false, then create 2. One for multiple choice, true, false, one for short answer essay. Now, if you're going to have quizzes that you really want to be essay type things, which I have, then the best thing to do is not put it in a quiz. That should really be an assignment. And I'm going to go ahead and show you that as well. But first, before I show you that, I want to make sure to pause in case anybody has a question about what I've covered so far. I know that I kind of like speed talk through these things, but it's being recorded, so you can go back and listen to me speed talk through it again if you'd like. So any
Monica?
questions? Yes.
Hi, Monica. It's Susan. I have a question. So in nursing, we do multiple choice, but we do a lot of select all that apply.
Ah,
Is that an option?
you can do that, but it will require that you go in.
We
Canvas,
go in and manually grade them?
yes, yes.
Okay.
It does weird things with the points. Select all that apply. Canvas thinks that if they only selected 2, that they only get half of it. It's really weird with that.
Okay.
But if that's something that you probably think, well, I do that anyway, then that's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, I know this is labeled quiz,
Mhm.
but we can use it for a midterm or a final.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So high stakes midterms and finals are high stake assignments. The only thing that you would do, you don't necessarily need to put more questions in it to increase the points. All you have to do is make each question valued more. So instead of a question being 1 point, mine are all 1 point, I keep it simple, you could make each question worth 5 points. Does that make sense?
Right. So you couldn't have a 50, 60, or 80 question test then?
No, you can.
You could?
Absolutely
Okay.
can. I think the only place where Canvas won't show you the way I showed you, and let me go into this. This is Twist and Shout quiz. And so I'm going to go into edit and I'm going to click on questions. So here, what I have the option to do is click on show question details. And that will let me do it if there are, I think, 20 or less questions. If you have 80, you won't even get this box to let you see these, right?
Okay.
For me, it's convenient because I can see right away what my question was, what my answers were. So I find this very, very convenient.
So maybe in that case, then we could make it a 2-part quiz, like quiz A and quiz B. Right?
Yes, I think that would work because then you have
Okay.
more control also. So that you'd
Right.
be able to control the timing, when they do it,
Right.
how much time they have.
So what's the cutoff number for where it wouldn't show the details like
I
that?
think it's 20.
20. Okay.
It's 20, yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, so I was going to mention, is anyone here planning to have quizzes that do essay or short answer and would
Yes.
like to see the assignments? Okay,
Yes.
if you,
Yes.
yes. So if you have an assessment, I guess, that is going to ask students to provide an essay or short answer, the best place to do that is in an assignment. So I'm going to go back to my module and I'm going to pick, I don't know, should I pick an easy one? I don't think I have any of them that are easy. Let's see. Okay, we'll do the critical analysis one. So this is an assessment where my students are asked to write 2 to 3 pages, to complete to 3 pages. They need to cite their sources, and it's involved because of the formatting. So what I do is I always give them instruction. I give them a video, which you don't need to do. I'm super cheesy with my videos. I remind them that all critical analysis are 40% of their grade. I give them a rubric, you know, so that they are not confused or roaming about with what am I supposed to do here? So the rubric is very detailed. Rubrics can be tough at first to put together. If you're going to put together a rubric, my recommendation is to sort of like map it out on paper. And then once you have the rows and columns and points where you want them, then create the rubric, because that will make it easier to just go through and put in all of the elements and criteria. Now here you can see the same as quizzes. So for this assignment, everyone else had it due and open until February 15th, but then I had one student with a special circumstance, so I reopened it for that one student, and they had a little bit of an extension until March 1st. Let's see, so what else with So then the assignments here, if we go into, how can I show you this? Trying to figure out how I can show you this so you can see how it looks for the student. Let me I can, yes, I can go into student view, and let me see if that helps a little bit. So we're going to the modules. So this is how students view my course. We're going to go into that assignment, which was, because I haven't opened everything as an assignment, I'll just go into this first one. So what they do is that they will get their submission information at the top, the file type. This was a submission of their photographs. It was a JPEG. For the works cited, it would be a Word doc, so I would put that in. If you want them to be able to just type the answer right there, you can let it be a file entry, right? So that they can just type right there if you want that. So let me leave student view so you can see that. I'll go into edit, and that way you can see how that looks. All right, so we were over here in, as I scan over critical analysis one. So they hit the edit button, and what you see here is, again, instruction, right? The points, so if this is worth 100 points, the assignment group. The quizzes for me are all in participation section. The critical analysis are their own assignment group. It's displayed as points. These count towards their final grade. And then here's the other point, the submission type. These assignments are going to be an online submission, but if you wanted to be like here, if you wanted them to have a text entry, you would click on text entry and students would be able to just go into the assignment and then type out their answer there. Now, the great thing about doing it that way is that then you're not dealing with students having to upload a document. It depends how prepared and polished their work needs to be for this particular assessment. The other thing is that you can enable VeriCite for similarity check. I'm pretty strict at my restricting the file type, so I want Word documents, but you don't have to restrict them. If you let them upload any old file they want, then you can unclick this and they can upload whatever they can. But just be prepared that you might get Google Docs, you're going to get a different variety of things. The formatting is not all going to come in the way you would hope, I think. This is not a group assignment, but if it were, I would click on this little group assignment. This one's not peer reviewed. I do have a draft final research paper that is peer reviewed, and I've assigned them 2 people to review, right? And then here you can see the assignments, right? The extra things here. So that's kind of how to manage this right here. If you were in a class where you needed them to upload a media recording, like a video of themselves or their audio, then you would enable this little box here. And that's pretty much it for assignments. But if you have an assessment that normally would be a quiz where they write in something, a short paragraph or something, then an assignment is the best place to put it. And then you could just enable for text entry. And then in the parameters themselves, you could limit that. So you could make it so that it's a specific day and time and that it's only open for an hour, for example, or however much time you would give them in class, right? Because all of your students here for this were face-to-face, now are remote learners. Then you can tell them everything that I'm going to ask you to do would be during our normal class time, right? And so then that way students still have in their head, oh, it's Monday morning, 11, I need to go and check in with my nursing class or whatever it is. So any questions here? No? Did I
Yes,
completely confuse everybody? I hope not.
I do have a question. Can you understand me?
Yes, I can hear you, yes.
Deirdre? I have a question about Proctorio. How is that used in quizzes?
Okay, so Deirdre. So Proctorio, let me see, I haven't enabled it in a long time. And let me see if I can enable it in one of them and maybe one in the future where I can just after our meeting go and eliminate it so they don't freak out. Because my students will. I haven't, for these students, I haven't given them any prep. I haven't said, oh, by the way, you're going to have to do this or that, And so let's say with her machete in her hand, this weeping woman one. So they would, after they have read all of the content pages I've given them, I give them direction here in the instruction. I have a link to instructions for taking a quiz. Normally, by the time they get to this stage in our course, they already know how to take a quiz. But these links, which we call just-in-time resources, really help the first couple of weeks. So that means practically all of your students. So let's go ahead and we'll go into edit. And let me see here if it will let me enable Proctorio, because I haven't enabled it in my course. So let's see, it's participation, multiple attempts. Let students see, require. Let me see here. It might be in the IPA.
What are you waiting for, Ryan? For what? Why
Pardon
do I
me?
have to?
Is that a question for me? No, okay. I wasn't sure that was a question for me. So let's see, create a quiz. Well, you know what? Because I haven't enabled Proctorio, I think in my course, it is not popping up with Proctorio as an item. So let me go back. Let me cancel this. I'll go into my settings. So this is going to be good. We can walk you through that. Settings, and then I'm going to go in here and see if this is where I can enable Proctorio. Let me see. Worldwide web, enable course evaluations. No, so it's not even in my course anymore at all. Let me see if going into. So what I did was there's some tabs on the top column right here of the settings, course description, settings, navigation, and apps. And so what I'm doing is I'm searching to see if I have Proctorio.
I thought originally you mentioned it was under Commons.
Proctorio, so what I mentioned was in Commons were the templates that Alex Hosmer has made for us.
Oh, okay.
And so here, as I typed in Proctorio within the apps, it shows me that I have this. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to add the app. Now it's asking me for the consumer key and the shared secret. So what I'm going to ask, that's Deidre, right?
Right.
Do you mind contacting Alex Hosmer, that's AHOSMER at ccs.edu.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, and or Nancy Webb, so that's NWEBB. And go ahead and ask them about Proctorio, because right now I've run through and I don't know if, because we only had certain licenses, right? So I don't know if it's now, because it's asking me to give them special keys for this. So it may mean that I am no longer, because I said I'm not using Proctorio. That I'm on the do not enable for Monica list or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's a good question. And those two folks, you know, are experts and they're always troubleshooting that sort of question in terms of that. So thank you for the question. Are there any other folks out there who are thinking of using Proctorio and using that sort of system?
Yes, I would need, this is Susan, I would need to use it for nursing for sure.
All right. So also, so that's Alex Hosmer. So that's A Hosmer, HOSMER at ccsf.edu, and Nancy Webb, NWEBB at ccsf.edu. So they can help you, you know, they might even already have tutorials for this, or they might have just a quick kind of explanation. For me, I would be jumping around like a crazy person here trying to enable it for my quiz course. Then,
But all the other steps that you showed us would still apply, right?
yes, all of those
Yeah.
steps. So it would still be something that you would enable kind of in-house in that quiz, because it won't enable for all of your quizzes everywhere. You'd still have to say, yes, this is a Proctorio enabled quiz. No, this is not. And then the good thing with that also is that you'd be able to get language that you can use to kind of give your students a heads up. Make sure you have a webcam. You know, make sure that your mic is enabled. Please make sure that your bandwidth is such, you know, so that it gives you an opportunity to have already readied language to help students know how you're going to use Proctorio.
Okay.
All right, so any other questions out there?
Are you going to show us how to actually type in and upload a question?
Sure. So do you remember that highlighted bit at the beginning before I kind of went on a
Yes.
tangent there?
Yes.
All right. So I highlighted a real quiz, and I'm going to go into modules again. And I made note that, well, there is a sample quiz here. So we're going to do sample new quiz, sample classic quiz. So in this here, there is already, and this, remember, the sample quiz I got from Commons. Do you remember that?
I
At the
do.
top?
I wrote that down, yes.
All right. So you could use this quiz right here and then just update all of the pink with your own specific information, and then you'd be done. For me, what I might do is, let me see if it'll let me duplicate. I'm going to go back because I still want to maintain this as it is. I'm going to go into, I'm going to go into this plus sign right here. Does everyone see that? It's within the module heading.
Yes.
I'm going to click on that plus sign. The item I'm going to select is going to be a quiz. This is going to be a new quiz. And then I'm just going to put here Monica's sample quiz, just so it doesn't get confused with any of the other things here. All right. So here I'm going to go ahead and tab it over just for aesthetics here. I'm going to click on that quiz. I'm going to go to edit. Now I copied over HTML code. So I'm going to click on the HTML code and paste that. That looks like garbly stuff, right? I'm going to hit rich content editor. So now it has my information there. Now, because this course is still linked to me and my files, my banner should remain intact. But if I were concerned that any banners or images were not there, which is very important if you have a quiz where you're asking them, look at the diagram, right? Sort of situation, like my map quizzes. Then I would just click on this here. I would go to images. I would look for that particular image, which is like quiz. Oh, it doesn't do it from here. Yeah, so it probably wouldn't show up because this is not my, my normal place where I have all of my stuff. So I might have to even go into files and then replace that image. Now, because that's kind of a lot, and I don't right now say I want to get this quiz to my students right away. So what I might do is either leave it because I have an alt description. It will have that little box there that looks like a broken link. And it would say quiz time, review, practice, summary, and self-assessment. If I don't like that box, which I don't, I'd probably remove that there by just deleting this box and then just leave it here as required survey, and that's all that I would have here. Then I would go ahead and then set my parameters. It's a graded quiz. It's going to be under assignments. I'm going to shuffle the answers, the time limit, I'm going to set to 60 minutes. I'm going to allow multiple choice. I'm keeping the highest score. I tick on right here the allow attempts. I'm going to allow 3. You can allow just the 1, or then you don't have to click on this. Let students see the correct responses. Yes, I can do that. Let's only after. So they can only see the correct answers after the last attempt, for example. And here they can see their correct answers after each attempt. And then here I would set the parameter. Here you can click on one at a time. You know how sometimes we have multiple choice or questions that lead into the previous one? So if you don't want the answer for the second one to be able to kind of show or guide the student into the answers for the first one, then you can go ahead and click this, show one question at a time. And then
how do I get the actual questions in?
Okay.
I have to type them one by one?
Yes. So then here you have these 2 tabs, the details, which are important, and then the questions. So here, once you're in this page, you notice that it's pretty much blank. So you would click on new question. Here's your new question. I normally give them a title, so sample Monica 1. Multiple choice, I would give them some sort of instruction here. And then I would put in the right answer here, the wrong answers here. And then here I would go ahead and update the question. And then I would have to save. So when you're manipulating quizzes, let me go into edit again. You have to go into details and you go into questions.
Okay.
I like to show the question details because I keep them under 20. Now here, say I wanted to edit this. Say I'm like, oh my goodness, I had my finger shifted. So I'll go ahead into edit. Now it doesn't pop up. So notice that I bring my mouse over and I kind of highlight the area. Did you guys all see that?
Right.
That's kind of very important because you'll be clicking around like, how do I change this quiz? So you bring your mouse over and you kind of scan over the area and then the little edit button. I don't know why they do it this way. It's ridiculous, but that's how it is. So then I'll go in here and I'm like, oh no, this was not that. That was face. This was throat. This was still war. And this one was ear. Then what I do now is I update the question here. And now I've got the right series. But then say I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the next question. So I click on new question. And this, I titled mine, right? Sample 2. And then here's also my question. And the right answer, the wrong answer, wrong answer, wrong answer. And then update question. And then if I'm good with my quiz, save. So for the quizzes, you have two different kind of saves. You have the update the question, which is the first save for that specific question. And then you have the save button, which is then going to be saved for the entire quiz. That's how you manage that. If you're using publisher content and you have, again, the 80 questions and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to have to type all of these in. If it's publisher content, reach out to your publisher. They should be able to give you an export file with the questions, like a question bank. And they should also be able to walk you through the process. Sometimes within their publisher content, they say how to do it for Canvas, how to do it for Desire to Learn, how to do it for Moodle. So you would pick the Canvas option and then have to go through the instructions for that. And so that's one way if you have
That's a good tip. Thank you.
Yeah, and then they will tell you which is the best way to then import the question banks and how to use those. So really, if you're using publishers, their help desk really can help walk you through how to set these all up in Canvas. If you have questions like I have old-timey ones that were in Word documents, pardon me, then what I do is I like split my screen. I open my Word document here. And then when I go into edit, for each question that new question, right? Then what I do is I copy the question, paste it, and then put in the answers. And then I hit update, and then I do the next one, copy the questions from that, paste it into, because who wants to, well, I mean, carpal tunnel, right?
Right. And how did you get to that? You went to edit?
Yes. So let me go ahead and I'll just say update here. Notice that I updated, it updated question 3, although I didn't fill anything in. Did you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
So then it doesn't have anything right now, but I could go in and edit that. So the way you do these is, and I'm going to save. So the way I do that is say this is my quiz. I go to edit. I go to details, make sure I'm giving instruction, right?
Right.
Click on the next tab over, which is quiz. I show the details because I keep it under 20. Then I scroll a little bit to the bottom, and then I click on this new question. And now I've got one for the new question. So sample Monica, and I think this is 4 because I skipped one. And then here I would copy and paste if I had it. Let me see, do I even have anything that has Word? Let me see, some crazy thing I might have on Word that you guys don't care about. So let me copy that in. And then I would paste this here. Now it's got the whatever it is. I'll put in correct answer, wrong answer, wrong answer, wrong answer, update the question. And then if I'm good with that, I'm like, okay, that looks good. Then I'm going to save. And now I've got 4 points for this quiz, but I know that one of them doesn't even have a question or an answer or anything in it, right?
Right. So you know where you typed in SM4 or 3? That's numbering the question. That's how you number the question.
For me. So it numbers the question for me so that when students say, oh no, I got this da-da-da question wrong, then I can quickly go in and say, okay, that was a question. If I don't type that in for me, then all that it says, the default is question.
Mm.
That doesn't help me in any sort of way.
It doesn't automatically number them.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
And I think maybe it's because some folks don't want it to be numbered, which is fine. So at least there we have some sort of option, right? But then if I did this, I would go in and I could be a little bit more generic and just say question 1. I don't have to even write anything. This pull down menu, because I've been advocating multiple choice, is why I didn't show you anything else here. But you can do true, false. You can do fill in the blank, but just be mindful that you're going to have to come in and actually manually grade this. Fill in multiple blanks. I would highly recommend not to do that. Just because the more things that you put in there, the more issues you're going to have with students not really knowing, and then Canvas not interpreting that very well. Multiple answers, you can do that, but then you're going to have to come in and do that to manually grade it. One of the things that you can do is, let's see, as I was thinking about that. Oh, when you're giving the instruction here, avoid saying, let me go into the answer. Avoid saying that the correct answer is all of the above, because it shuffles the questions, right? The answers. So the better thing to say is all listed here. And then that way you can avoid because all of the above, what if that's the first one that shows up on when they take the quiz? They don't have any above, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just language. It's just simplifying language, all listed or all listed here. And then that way they know it's all of them. So we click update. And then if we're good with our quiz here, then we go ahead and click save. And if we're already at a place where we're like, you know what, it is good to go, then you publish it. So you can publish it from really three places. Here, once you've saved, when you have the edit button, you notice that there was a save and then there was save and publish. You can click it there. I hardly ever do it there. I think that I'm always wanting to look at it first before I save and publish. The other place that you can publish a quiz is here. So for example, I'm going to move us out of the way a little bit. So here you can see the sample quiz and this other one, they're not published. So even if everything were already ready and set, it would not go out to the student until we clicked on this and this. Now, the other thing is that we have it in a module. If the module, think of it as being the parent. If the parent says, no, you can't do it, doesn't matter if these kids are ready to go and do their quiz, right? So the parent is the one that controls everything else within the module. But say the parent says, yes, go, but then doesn't want everything to go, just wants the sample classic quiz to go, then that's how you do it to make sure that the module is published and then only the items that you want your students to view or participate in can see. I don't know if that makes sense there. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so that's sort of the end of this webinar. We've gone past our time here, but I want to make sure to answer any question. I'm gonna stop sharing. I want to make sure that I can answer any questions. Holy moly, there's a lot here in the discussion, the chat. Do you have any questions that maybe I didn't address? I see that.
Yeah, pretty quick one. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi. Yes.
Hi. Yeah, if you use the same quiz for multiple sections, like how do you share it with the other classes?
So you can export your own quiz. So that's one way to do it. So let me see if I can show you very quickly how to do. Oh, let me get back to where I can share my screen, or else you can't see me doing anything over here. So I'm going to go into, say, my dashboard. And let's say that I have this quiz here, this Latina Voces quiz. And there's a quiz I don't want to have to retype because it's too complicated. So I'm going to go into my quizzes. I'm going to pick, let's say, the Arab World Map quiz. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this right-hand side. There's this, the three dots, which are the more options. Do you see as I clicked on that, it says edit, delete, and then share to commons? Yeah?
Okay.
So so I'm going to share this to commons, right? And then I'm going to share it only to me because it's not something everyone needs to see, right? And then I'm going to go, it's right here, it's copyrighted. I do have to put in some things here. So Arab map quiz. or else it won't let me share. It wants an image, so I'm going to click there on an image. I'm going to put that map in, whatever, just really super easy and simple. Here, if there was something that was, you know, kid sensitive for some reason, then I would change those parameters. And then I would click on the share button.
Okay.
So now that I've shared that, I can go ahead and import or download. Don't be scared. So I'm going to say here, I think I have an IDST class from a long time ago. So I'm going to go ahead and share it to one of my IDST shells, right? And let me see, it says its source is pending. So I don't know if it's because it's involved, this one, that it's having a little bit of a lag, or maybe it's because this course, you know, I haven't used it in a while. Let me see here. I'm going to say LOLS 1. See, it wants to send it to this, which is, I don't want to send it to any old courses. So that's why I need to be very cautious, even as I'm being exuberant in my sharing and showing you, that I want to make sure this doesn't accidentally go into a course, you know, that already was passed. Or let me see here, the initials sandbox. Yeah, so also it won't let me share to a course that's not published. So that's why it's not letting me share to those two courses I wanted to share it to. It won't let me do that right now because those are not published. And so, but then it would give you, ideally, it would give you a list of your 4 courses. And then there you would select which courses, or all, if they were all, which I'm quickly going to unselect because I'm in other people's courses. And then that way you'd be able to go ahead and do that. Another way would be to download it, although I don't think it's giving me that option here. Let me see. Let me see here. Download. There are a lot of little mini windows here. No, so it's not giving me that option right now. I think one of the main reasons we don't go straight to use the Canvas Commons and use Commons for this and that is that we don't have control over the Commons. And sometimes it's a little clunky, a little glitchy, right? And so, but that's the way that you would do it. So you would import or download, and then you would go back into your course. And so say, let's say I was able to successfully download it and share it to my other course. So let me go into that course. Here it is, Latin American Studies 1, the diaspora. So then I would go into my modules. Slow, my computer's slow, I'm tired. And then let me just pretend that it's here. I would go into add, I would add the quiz, and then it would be listed right here.
Okay.
So it'd be listed right here, and then I would go ahead and upload it. And that'd be it. So let's say I picked the Southwest map quiz. I add item, and then I scroll slightly to the bottom of that module, and there it would be, right? Which let me eliminate from this course before I forget I put that there. All right. So I'm sorry I wasn't able to like really show you how the—
Makes sense. Thank you. Yeah, makes sense. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And so let me see. Any other? Okay, bye. If you guys are leaving, I totally understand. Definitely need to do that. Was there any questions here that that Carol didn't answer? Maybe that would help me.
So if you, I mean, you didn't go through the grading, right? Like the overall class grading.
I didn't. I think that's probably going to be a webinar for another time. Now, right now, I don't have to rush anywhere. I know that our webinar is officially ended. And so please don't feel like, you know, you can go, and I hope to meet with you again soon. But if you want me to take a quick look at the grade book, I'm happy to do that. Would you like that for those who are still here with us?
I would.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah.
All right. So let me get into my course. This is not a live course, but what we do is that we have the grades tab here. I will tell you right now that for my classes, what I do is that I set all of my, you know what, let me do this. I'm going to just show you and share with you. Can you see my screen? Probably not. Here, let me go ahead and share my screen so you can see. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a different course here. And why? You guys are thinking, is she being weird? I'm being weird. The only reason is I want to show you how it actually works without accidentally showing you potentially your own students work in my class. I know I get a lot of times, we don't share students. I'm like, you know, in the off chance that one of my students has to be yours. Then let me just go ahead. So let's take this Monday, Wednesday class. So this is face-to-face class, right? But I have the grades tab. Now it's enabled for them. The first week and a half, I hide grades tab because students often want to just jump into grades, take a look at what's there to do, and then do that without reading my course content. And I slave over putting in course content, so I don't want them to just jump into assessments. I'm a little bit of a dictator that way. So what I do is I always tell them to click on the module, to go into the module, and then to access then the chapter quiz, let's say, for this class. So here, this is on the presidency. So what we do is two ways to manage grades from here. You can go to SpeedGrader, and that will show you their assessments. It'll show you how they answered the quiz, for example. If we were doing an assessment that's an assignment, then it would show what they wrote right here and then your rubric. So then say that this helps me, but not the way I wanted to manage my grade book. I would scroll up to the left-hand corner right here, where there's the grade book icon. Do you see it? It looks like a little composition book. Everybody see that?
Yes.
So I'm going to click on that. And now that I'm in my grades, because as these are real students, it'll be a little bit better representation of what goes on here. So I have my students at the left-hand column. I'm using the new grade book, which means that I record some of their scores. Remember, this was a face-to-face class. So these are face-to-face assessments. So I just put in their scores there to keep track of those for myself. Then here are assignments that I placed for them in Canvas so that they could work. So for example, here, if I have final research paper due right here, let me see, I want to see something where, okay, so their critical analysis 3, right? That is due soon, I think, because I only have 2, and that's weird that I only have 2 who have submitted. But you can see how within the gradebook, I can tell right away who has submitted their assignment already, right? And I can also see their similarity check. The greens are pretty good, right? So that means that they're doing good. I don't have to worry about them. So within this gradebook, I'm going to click on the 3 dots, which are the more options. Note when I move my cursor away from the 3 dots, they disappear, right? That's not, I don't think that's good setup, but that's the way it is right now with Canvas. So you have to bring your cursor to that space to have those options appear. Did that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I'm going to click on message students who, and I'm going to click on that. I have a lot of students who haven't submitted this message. Now, I think the language no submission is a little bit harsh. So I'm going to say something like, please upload your critical analysis 3. I think it's a little bit more user-friendly. And again, I'm very saccharine, so dear scholars, or you don't even have to say scholars. You can just say hello. They get these individually, right? I wouldn't say hello, Erica, because this is going to go to everybody. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm going to say hello. Hope you are well. The wonderful thing about the English language is that you is both singular and plural. Hope you are well, healthy, and happy. Please upload your CA3. Have fun with it. I know, I am so cheesy. They're like, what? She thinks this assignment is fun? And then I will say, please remember to include your works cited page. The MLA template can help. Contact me via inbox if you don't have the template. They should have it. It's in a lot of assignments, but you just never know, right? So I want to know if they don't know what this is or don't have it or haven't figured out where to find it in the multiple places I've placed it, that this is another chance for me to say, okay, let's work with this MLA template. And then, like I mentioned, I'm really saccharine. So, and I really feel like this about my students. I'll say warmly, I have them address me by my first name, Monica. And so then I'm going to send that out. And that is a little gentle reminder to please participate in this assignment, especially as these are face-to-face folks. And normally they get me face-to-face badgering them about the assignments. The other thing that you can do with this is that the pinks indicate late work. That's what those indicate. The blues indicate on time work. It's that I have my courses set up to be weighted. So their final research paper and the mini building assignments therein make up 40% of their grade. So I have all of those assignments compiled to put in the percentages here. The next weighted group is going to be the critical analysis section. Those are worth 40%. And again, there are 5 critical analyses that together are worth their 40% of their total grade. Then the last bit here is their participation. And I call this positive in class as well as online. Why? Because they're in-class people. So I want to make sure that when we're meeting face-to-face, they're being positive. When we have discussions online, they're being positive. And so then you can see here that that's only worth 20%. So that's the way to weight your grades. Now, let's say that you're like, well, how do we weight a grade, right? So one of the things that we can do is we'll click, I'm just clicking on any assignment, so it will take me out of that. You can see here that within the assignment, there's instruction. I give them a video, and then there are the parameters of when things were available the first day of class. They would do the 19th. This assignment, I let them keep open till the 21st. And then I have the rubric, so they know exactly what the expectation is. Now, once I'm in any assignment, I can go and click on assignments on the top most their banner. Do you see it? It's right next to my course, a description I've given it. Can everyone see where I'm clicking?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to click on assignments. And so this is where, and this is why I don't let students see assignments. I hide assignments from them, because if they were to come in here on the first day of class and then see all these assignments, they would probably drop instantly. So I don't let them do that. And I also don't want them to pick and choose and jump all over the place. I have everything located within the modules index so that they have to look at the lectures and then take the quizzes and then participate in the next thing until the discussion, so that they're not jumping around here. But let's say we're here already. You'll notice that these final research paper section, these are all the assignments that build up to that. The good draft final research paper, that's peer reviewed. And then their final research paper would Turnitin. This is at Contra Costa College, we use Turnitin right here. At City College of San Francisco, we would use VeriCite. So then I'm going to collapse this just so you can see. It tells me here that it's 40%. Here you can see my next section, which is the critical analysis section. It only has these 5 assignments, but it's also worth 40%. The hope is that while they're turning these in every other week, that it's practice and writing and citation. So when they get to their big, summative assignment, which is the final research paper, that they already are familiar with the process and my grading style. The last,
I'm sorry.
pardon me, no, go ahead.
What was the name you said that City College would use to turn in a paper?
It's called VeriCite, and that's for use of similarity checker. So if you VeriCite, VeriCite.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
And then the last bit here, weighted group, is a 20% participation. And you can see it's just chock full of stuff. Quizzes and discussions. Here's my test bank. They're all unpublished because I don't want students somehow to get to the test bank, and then ask me, hey, I can't do this quiz or whatever. So that anything I'm not using, like this map quiz, Arab World Alternative, this is in case I have a visually impaired student who can't see the actual map. So if they tell me, I tell them there to let me know. If they email me, then I don't always ask them for the DSPS form. I just trust that they need this. When I give them this, then I say, okay, I've reopened it for you. I open it only for the students who request it. When they realize that they have to write a 2 to 3 pager on the Arab world, then that's it. That's the end of that. They would rather take the multiple choice quiz than have to write a paper. So I have never had an issue with this. So, so that's a way. If I gave them the option, they didn't want to do it that way, they go back to the quizzes. So you're probably asking, well, how do I set it so that it knows, right? So what you do is you can have an assignment, you place it in the group. You can then, as you have your added group, if I wanted a new group, say, I wanted my new group to be remote learning assessments. So there would be all these new assessments I would create just for this period that we're away from our students face-to-face. Then I would type that in here. I would say what that percentage was. If I said it was 10%, then I have to take off 10% somewhere else, unless it's going to be extra credit, unless all of that remote learning is going to be extra credit.
Yes.
So once I have those groups, then I go to this far right-hand side where it says assignment settings. You click on that, click on assignment weights for groups, and this is how you change that. So say I had another one that was remote learning, and that was 10%, then I would probably adjust this one to be 10%. So now I've got two 10%ers and then the 40 and the 40 to add up to 100. If I don't do that, then that just means that now you've got an extra bit that's extra credit.
Yeah.
So it means a student could potentially go above the 100%. And some exceptional students would. So you'd have students, who then had 105%. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So I don't know, anything else in the grade book that you'd like to see? The speed grader maybe?
I think you're good. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, looks good.
Okay. Would you like to see how Verisight looks at City College of San Francisco?
Sure, if you have time.
Yeah, sure. Let me go back over here. I'm going to go to the grade book. I'm going to go to a course that actually has an assignment. Actually, maybe I can do it in a dummy course. Let me see. Or a working course. All right. So let's see here. It's the course I'm working on. Pardon me. Let's see where we have a first upload this assignment kind of thing. Great. Do I not have any here? That's so weird. All right, well, we'll do it with this one, with this extra credit. Say I want students to work on the extra credit, but I don't want them to plagiarize. I'll go ahead and click on edit. And then I will scroll down to these, now because this is an extra credit, it's worth 0 points. That means if they do an exceptional job, I can give them 5 points. If they kind of did it, but it's not good, then I'll give them 2 points. But then I have control over the point system. Now here, it's going to be an online. It's going to be a file upload. They're going to upload a .doc or .docx translation, a Word document. And then I'm going to click on this little tick here, this box that says enable Verisight submissions.
Oh, okay.
Then I click on advanced Verisight settings. Verisight doesn't give us a whole lot of options like Turnitin does. Maybe that's better, right? Some folks do really like Verisight. So here, students can see their originality report immediately. I let them see it immediately. I exclude quoted material? Nope. Do I exclude self-plagiarism? Nope. They can't self-plagiarize. I don't let them recycle work. And then here it says store submissions in institutional index. Yes. So I update the settings, and now I know that this is going to go to everyone. It's not a group assignment, or else I would click here and then enable a group, right? So it's not a group assignment. And this one doesn't require peer review, but if I wanted to do that, I would click on peer reviews. I would either manually assign the peer reviews or let Canvas assign them for me. And then, or I could also click on peer reviews appear anonymously. If that's something important, right? Then you could do that. So those are things that you can do within City College of San Francisco. I would save that. Now, right now it's having issues because October 31st, 2019 already passed a long time ago. And so it's like, no, Monica, you can't assign something to be past due.
Right.
So it's having issue with that, but I'll just go ahead and update that for us here so that we can see that we're okay. And so then I put in that parameters there, notify students if I had students, and then save. And then now it's okay with that. So I don't know if that's kind of what you wanted to see.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
That's it. All right.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and stop share. So we're a couple of folks left. So do you have any questions? non-quiz, Canvas general questions that I might be able to answer? No, nothing?
This was great. This was very, very clear and very helpful.
Oh, well, thank you, Susan. I'm going to go ahead and then coordinate with Alex to try to make sure that this recording gets placed in a place where you and your colleagues can view and review and fast forward and see how quirky I am when I speed talk.
That's great. So I'm going to pass this on to the instructors I teach with. So they would go to, I guess, that Vision Resource Learning site, and they should be able to find this.
I think so. I think that's
Okay.
Alex is very well organized and he's going to have everything there.
Okay.
It might take a while to caption,
Right.
but yes, because we went over our 40 minutes or hour.
Monica, a quick question, please.
Huh?
For us to have math equations and circuits, and do you know the best way to get them in?
So math equations, I understand that if you use the tool, with the editing tool that comes in, when we hit edit, there's a little kind of editing tool that you can use math equations for that. So Alex has been working with Sean. Do you know Sean? Sean, oh my goodness, I'm just completely losing my memory. I can't remember Sean's last name, but he works in the math department. And he teaches fully online, and he teaches math, pretty advanced math. And so let me see. So Orita, I'm going to go ahead and try to find his name as well. And I will send that to you because he can be a good person to ask about how to put equations.
And
with
graphs and
Canvas.
equations and graphs and that would be great.
And then also Alex Hosmer, he actually works helping us do this. Sean is just a friendly resource.
Okay.
So that would be A Hosmer, HOSMER @ccsf.edu.
Okay.
And he might even have a template.
Yeah, it should be Hosmer, yeah.
Or something like that. So Cynthia, did you have any questions? I know you've been muted this whole time. Or are we good? Thank you for, okay, I think that you're good then. Okay, all right, well, it's been a pleasure and a joy to be able to meet with you like this virtually. Normally I'm in the lab. So this has been very nice. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica.
Oh, you're very welcome. Have a beautiful day. And you guys know, stay healthy, right?
Yes.
You too.
Raise your
Thank
hands.
you.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye.